Well, folks, I just woke up from a nap. I was out in the woods all day catching salamanders, you know, checking out the views, just in general getting outside, getting away from people. You know what I'm saying? Because the coronavirus pandemic shit, it wears on your soul. You got to go recharge those batteries. Make sure you're getting out there and enjoying your life because all this doom and gloom, you know what I'm saying? It'll eat at your soul and eat at your head at a certain point. You know what I'm saying? But I come back, you know what I mean? I go to check on my investments and I'm getting messages from my partners. And I see that the markets is down 1,000 points. Markets are frozen. The pre-markets are frozen because they're in free fall. And I look and it says Federal Reserve cut rates to zero and launches massive $700 billion quantitative easing program. Wow. Yo, this is awesome. In an emergency move Sunday, the Federal Reserve announced that it's dropping its benchmark interest rates to zero and launching a new round of quantitative easing. The QE program will entail $700 billion worth of asset purchases entailing treasuries and mortgage-backed securities. Markets responded negatively, with Dow futures pointing to a drop of 900 points in the open markets Monday morning. All right, so the Federal Reserve saying the coronavirus outbreak has harmed communities and disrupted economic activities in many countries, including the United States, cut interest rates to essentially zero on Sunday and launched a massive $700 billion quantitative easing program to shelter the economy from the effects of the virus. This is not going to help, folks. None of this is going to be any type of help for the United States as far as things are really concerned. You know what I mean? When it really comes down to it. So, the new Fed rates uses a benchmark for both short-term lending and financial institutions as a peg that many consumers' rates will now be targeted at 0 to 0.25%, down from a previous target range of 1% to 1.25%. Facing highly disrupted financial markets, the Fed also slashed its rate of emergency lending at the discount window for banks by 125 basis points to 0.25 and lengthened the term of the loans to 90 days. Despite the aggressive move, the market's initial response was negative. Dow futures pointed to a decline of some 1,000 points at the Wall Street opening Monday morning. That's why keeping these short positions is a positive thing, folks. I'm trying to tell y'all, all right, legitimately. The markets is going down, all right? I don't give a fuck. Legitimately, like, yo, what the Fed does, they cannot rescue this. They can't print their way out of this one. It's just not possible. The discount window plays an important role in supporting the liquidity and stability of the banking system and effective implementation of monetary policy, and supports a smooth flow of credit to households and businesses. A separate Fed note said the discount window is not part of the Fed's function as a lender of last resort to the banking industry. Institutions can use the window for liquidity needs, though some are reluctant to do so, as it can indicate they're experiencing financial issues and it sends a bad message. In global coordinated action, the Fed also cut reserves requirements for thousands of banks to zero. In addition, a global coordinated move by central banks, the Fed and the Bank of Canada, the Bank of England, the Bank of Japan, the Central European Central Bank, and the Federal Reserve, and the Swiss National Bank, took action to enhance dollar liquidity around the world through existing dollar swap arrangements. You can't save this. The banks lowered the rate of these swap lines and extended the period for such loans. The actions by Fed appeared to be the largest single-day set of moves the bank had ever taken, mirroring in many ways its efforts during the financial crisis that were rolled out over several months. Sunday's move included multiple program rate cuts and the QE, but all in a single day. Okay, so what did I tell y'all? All right, what did I tell you? I told you the United States was going to end up bailing out the fucking world. I told you all this money that they're printing was going to end up just bailing out all of the coronavirus. I said this, and I told you it was going to happen, and everybody looked at me and goes, oh, man, blah, 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 blah. Yo, look, man, y'all need to listen to Tom Pease more often. So this is a chart, whatever, from 2008 till now. Right, and this is regular Fed meetings, I think actually from 2000, right? And basically, these are regular meetings in the yellow dots. The red dots are unscheduled meetings where like bad shit had happened, right? And then regular meetings, another red dot, right? Regular meetings, another red dot. Regular meetings, and then it was cool for a while. And regular meetings and rate hikes went up, right? And then the rate hikes went down, and then red dot, red dot. It's not even, like, it didn't even take him that long. It didn't even take him that long. At a press conference Sunday following the decision, Powell said that the Fed would be patient before lifting rates again. We will maintain the rate at this level until we're confident the economy has weathered the recent events and is on track to achieve our maximum employment and price stability goals, Powell said. That's a test. Some things have to happen before we consider we're going to be watching and willing to be patient. Certainly, he added. The quantitative easing will take a form of $500 billion of treasuries and $200 billion of agency-backed mortgage securities. The Fed said the purchases will begin Monday with the $400 billion installment. Okay, let's talk about this for a second, right? I'm not sure why you're buying mortgage-backed securities. Legit, I don't understand why you're purchasing mortgage-backed securities. Like, are you just trying to rescue the banks? Like, is that all you care about is the banks? Like, because that is not going to help anything. Like, why do you care about, securities? Like, I understand treasuries, right? Legit. I get treasuries. Like, the reason you're buying treasuries is because you want to pump up the dollar. I get that mentality, right? But the mortgage-backed securities is fucking dumb. That is patently ridiculous. Cleveland Fed President Loretta Mester was a lone no vote, preferring to set rates at 0.5 to 0.75, which would represent the 50 basis point of half percentage point reduction. The Fed added in a statement that it's prepared to use its full range of tools to support the flow of credit to households, businesses, and thereby promote its maximum employment and price stability goals. It appears, though, it is not entirely clear that the meeting that took place will replace the regularly scheduled meeting of the Federal Open Market Committee. The move follows several actions by the Feds over the past 2 weeks in which it enacted 50 basis point emergency rate cut and expanded the overnight credit offering or repo for the financial system of up to $1.5 trillion. Now, look, I've said this before, and I will say this again, and I will keep saying this, all right? This is not the United States government printing money, but it is also not the United States printing money. When you put money into the open markets, it's different than putting money into the hands of the public. All right. There's a huge difference. When you're putting money into the markets, for the most part, it kind of just sits around and hangs out and sits inside of like a 401k or an equity stock or inside of a bank because they don't immediately loan it back out to an American person. All right. They're not just giving this money to people on the street. Now, if the Fed stood here and put it into social programs like Social Security or Medicare or Medicaid or college loan reimbursements, whatever the case might be, it would cause hyperinflation almost immediately because that would immediately hit somebody's pocket and that pocket would end up just spending the money however they want. And it would go to chase local goods, stuff that everybody buys. And that's what causes inflation. All right. That's the big difference. Legitimately, this is something else completely, all right? Because I saw guys like Jimmy Dore out here, talking about the Feds, printing, they're bailing out the banks to $1.5 trillion. They're really not. That's not what this is. And once you understand it, look, all these people with 401ks and all the individuals with retirement accounts and all the people with pensions are relying upon their pensions and 401ks to be able to pay out long term. This here is really the only way that's going to be an actual thing, all right, when it really comes down to it. This is something that a lot of people don't understand, all right, because, if you end up cutting off 401ks and pensions and all this stuff, you'll end up having poverty in America to the point that you had never seen before. Legitimately, whole communities will collapse. Because these are pretty much the only homeowners left who are paying taxes. Because the young people can't get into homes because they're standing here propping up these 401ks. It's a giant basket of garbage. You know what I mean? And that's really the truth when it comes down to it. It's all a giant basket of garbage. But, you know, we're the cleanest dirty shirt in the world, which is why our currency, you know what I mean, is so important. You know, these are all economic things that you have to understand. You know what I mean? In order to like have any idea what you're talking about with any of this or even seeing or looking at. But it's most definitely, you know what I mean, an interesting thing to me because I'm making money. So like, yo, I guess that's kind of what's important to me. You know what I mean? Again, I say short the market. You know what I'm saying? It got a lot of movement to go. We're all calling 14,000. You know what I mean? I'm not a financial advisor. You know what I'm saying? You know, don't put any weight in what I say. But on the same point, you know, I think I got a pretty good track record at this point. You know what I mean? I'm Tom Peace from Pnoid News. Y'all know the deal. Peace be like one. Later.